If I didn't convince you already, I absolutely love the Doraemon Bang Zoom dub.
Get ready, cause here we go again!
Because of the Bang Zoom dub, I fell in love with the franchise itself. And I absolutely will not stop loving it, because it's honestly one of the best cartoons / anime I've ever seen. Despite making a worst list on it. But like I said in my worst list, just because a show has bad episodes doesn't mean it's a bad show. In fact, judging by the title of this video, there are even more good episodes than there are bad episodes, from both seasons by the way. And honestly, it was more harder making a best list than it was making a worst list because, well, there were only 5 episodes I would consider downright bad. However, making a best list, downright even a top 10 best list, is like making a top 10 best SpongeBob episodes list, but without all the most popular episodes, like Chocolate with Nuts, Pizza Delivery, and of course the fan favorite Band Geeks. It's pretty hard, isn't it? So, in order for me to do that, I had to lay down a few rules. First, I can only allow 2 specials on this list, one from season 1 and one from season 2. Second, I'm only going to rank the episodes from how I think of the episodes overall, like their rewatch value and what makes them so special. Like for example, a funny episode would probably be somewhere along number 7 through 10, and something more emotional would probably rank around the top 5. And finally, of course this is obvious, this is only covering episodes from the Bang Zoom dub. Any episode from the UK or Japanese dub is obviously going to be invalid. Now, grab your Hopters, grab your Anywhere doors, and let's travel to what I think are the top 10 best Doraemon US episodes.
Doraemon! 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 Doraemon!
The Mecha Maker. Oh boy, this one's a lot of fun. So, in this episode, Nobi builds a spaceship, well, a mecha, whatever, and lies about making a deal with Doraemon so he could give him the Mecha Maker. After Sneech cheats out Doraemon and destroys Nobi's ship, Doraemon and Nobi get back at them by making an even stronger one. What I think this episode exceeds at is that it's not over the top mean-spirited. Now, I'm gonna bring up an episode I brought up on my worst list, My Best Friend Doraemon. Now, let's go back to what I said on this episode in particular. Now, you could argue that Sneech is the antagonist of the episode, but I have to argue if he's a good antagonist. What makes a good antagonist is that they have a motive to be, well, bad. Well, you could argue that Sneech and Big G are the antagonists of the episode. I have to bring up this. And I know I didn't bring this up in my top 5 worst episodes of Doraemon, but I'll bring it up here for some clarification. Big G and Sneech don't go over the top in this episode, unlike in My Best Friend Doraemon, which I think is why Sneech in this episode exceeds while Sneech in My Best Friend Doraemon fails. I know Sneech in this episode also doesn't have a motive like in My Best Friend Doraemon, but here's the difference. This episode doesn't give Sneech too much screen time when he's being a hypocrite. In My Best Friend Doraemon, Sneech got 75% screen time at the very least in that episode. However, in this episode, that amount of screen time actually goes to Nobi and Doraemon when they're trying to get back at them. And I honestly think that's a really good thing. I like seeing these two together because they work well off each other. I mean, just look at this clip.
Maybe bigger doesn't always mean better?
Ah, jeez, everyone's a critic.
The comedy here is also spot on, which is something My Best Friend Doraemon definitely can't say.
See, we're doing him a favor.
No way, man! That car was a work of art!
I'm sorry, guys. Could you just give the car back?
Drive carefully!
And I honestly think that the episode does a really well job of balancing its tone. So yeah, that's all I really have to say. It does a really well job of doing everything, it's funny, and its characters are decently likable. What an enjoyable start to a show. Oh right, I forgot, this is the sister episode to the very first episode of the entire show. No wonder it's actually really likable. This show has gotten onto a good start, just like this list.
How could you just sell out to Sneech like that?
I'm a robo-cat with a weakness. I love yummy buns!
Doraemon! Doraemon!
Doraemon!
Elementary, my dear Doraemon. I honestly think this episode is a really nice take on the Sherlock Holmes formula. And hey, at least it's better than what we got last year, am I right? In this episode, Nobi gets into Sherlock Holmes and wants to solve a mystery. However, he accidentally steals the book from Sue and needs to find it. I'll just leave the rest up to you. I think that the episode's pacing is done really well in this episode. It's not too short and it's not too fast. Thus, the episode lets you enjoy it as you watch it. The comedy, like the last one, is also done really well. Sure, it's a little bit too simple, but I don't think it's that big of a problem.
By any chance, did you leave your room at any point this afternoon?
I did. I went downstairs for about 30 minutes because I got a phone call from my cousin Jessica. And when I went back upstairs, you had mysteriously disappeared.
Funny how fast you can forget stuff. So, what do you guys want to do?
He'll have the attention span of a gnat, Nobi.
Yeah, I know it's not the funniest the show's come up with, but for what it's worth, it's pretty enjoyable. I also like how all the characters are relatable in one way, shape, or form. Yes, even Big G and Sneech are relatable in this episode. And that's funny because one of them is the worst character in the show and the other is Big G. So it's nice to see them likable for a change. And I really like how invested this episode is and how it unravels itself the more you watch. I don't really think it's trying to be anything spectacular, and trust me, it isn't. But I honestly think that it's just trying to be something interesting. If you're looking for a case to be solved, always call Sherlock Nobi.
That person was me. I'm the thief. Another case solved by Sherlock Nobi.
Okay, maybe not. The Not So Lucky Cards. This episode is extremely memorable to me for all the right reasons. Nobi finds some cards on the ground saying that they're the lucky cards, but according to Doraemon,
For every action, there's a reaction. Each time a wish is granted, one of those cards disappears. Each time you make a wish, you whittle away the deck until at the end, all you're left with is the Joker. Then to balance out all the good luck you've had, bad luck will hit you like a tidal wave.
he then trades it off to Sneech, who trades it off to Big G, who trades it off to some stranger. And then it starts a bit of a trend.
It's these cool cards. Just make a wish and they grant it for you.
No way.
Once we each get one wish granted, then we pass the cards on to other friends.
Tony got this awesome guitar. Brad got a brand new computer.
Nobi is then motivated to get the cards back. However, it turns out that there's only 2 cards left, one of which being the Joker.
Hey, wait, I changed my mind. I don't want him. I don't want him.
Too bad. They're yours now.
I gotta say, I really like how this episode is formatted. It really does make you feel a bit of suspense if you realize if Nobi gets the Joker or not. You feel bad, yes, but then again, you don't feel too bad because you understand that he was actually being kind of stubborn. Not to mention the scenarios he's put in are actually pretty funny.
Box.
I don't know why, but there's not really much else to say about this episode, sadly. I think I watched this one the most, and I honestly think this one was probably the most funny out of the 3 I mentioned so far. There's not really much else to say, only that those cards are so lucky it got this episode on the number 8 spot.
Yeah, it's true. One of them's missing. I can't believe how awesome these things are. Doraemon.
Action quiz. Okay, Big G, please don't give me any wells because I have a lot of positive things to say about this episode. It's about Nobi and Big G teaming up together to take down an action quiz. First of all, I think this episode is very educational. Forget school, I need Doraemon. Okay, that was a joke, stay in school, kids. The episode teaches you more about the world, both historically and scientifically. I really like how these facts are addressed as well. I think the episode addresses these facts in a fun and enjoyable way.
Yeah, quiz game's so much fun. They are. Let me show you the answer. Way back in the distant past, a big chunk of the country was buried underwater, so we just had to change our timeline.
Not to mention, Big G teaming up with Nobi makes some really good comedy.
Alright, bring it! I'm acing this one for sure!
Cool, make it happen.
And I think the plot in this episode is executed very well. And I honestly wish we got to see a little bit more of these two. Big G and Nobi actually work well off each other. Not to mention, I honestly think this is the best opportunity to make an Ace Goody centered episode to get to know more about him. But then again, that's just a nitpick. This episode wouldn't have been as fun without Big G.
Heard that!
Oh, come on, man, that was a compliment. I think the episode also got inspiration from Dora the Explorer in the beginning.
The answer is, you've just gotta jump! I mean, after all, Fuji is a mountain. It can't jump! The
Nobi. Now we're getting into the episodes that are just praiseable. So, after Big G and Sneech once again bully Nobi, seriously Nobi, why are you friends with these guys? And wants to bully them himself. So Nobi and Doraemon go to the reverse world and unleash Bully Nobi, and now they have to stop him. I honestly think that the episode does a really good job of teaching the moral of violence never being the answer. Now, does it say standing up for yourself is a bad thing? No, but violence is never the answer to any situation. It only makes things worse and it only makes people hate you, let alone get scared of you. I think that the characters are really well done here as well. I think that Nobi, Doraemon, Sue, Big G, and Sneech are all well done. I don't think any of the characters come off as unlikable either. All of them seem relatable in one way, shape, or form, and I like that honestly. And honestly, the climax to this episode is really well done. It's honestly one of the best climaxes to any episode of this show. And it honestly makes me appreciate we have a character like Sue in the show anyway. Just take a look how heartwarming it is.
Yeah, I'm just glad it's over. Hey, I'm sorry about the other me. He was totally uncool to you.
It's all right. You weren't being the jerk. He was.
Man, that guy really was a jerk, wasn't he?
Well, I guess if the Nobi from the reverse world is the guy that everybody hates, then the Nobi from our world is the guy that everybody likes.
That is honestly one of the best lessons I've seen this show ever teach, and that's why this episode is number 6 on this list. Whoever wrote this episode, I love you, man. No homo.